Your company may never announce an AI workforce. No big memo, no dramatic layoff speech, no robot sitting at a desk. It will start smaller than that. A support queue gets an AI triage layer. A sales team gets auto-generated follow-ups. HR gets a screening assistant. Finance gets anomaly detection. Managers get dashboards that tell them which tasks are late before a person does. And one day, the org chart on the website still looks human. But the work chart underneath it has changed. This is educational content. It is not career, legal, or financial advice. The next AI workforce will not look like a workforce at first. It will look like software updates. Most people wait for job titles to change. That is too late. Work changes before titles change. A role keeps the same name, but the center of gravity moves. The customer service rep still has the same title, but now the first draft of the answer is generated. The analyst still has the same title, but now the dashboard finds the weird pattern before Monday morning. The recruiter still has the same title, but now a model ranks, resumes, drafts outreach, and flags candidates. The manager still has the same title, but now the system watches exceptions, deadlines, and compliance risk. That is why this shift is easy to miss. People keep asking, will AI replace this job? Inside companies, the better question is, which parts of this job are being reassigned to software? Because that is how the AI workforce enters, not as one giant replacement. As 1,000 invisible handoffs, that phrase matters. Invisible handoffs are how work gets reorganized without anyone admitting the reorganization happened. The meeting still happens. The manager still asks for an update. The team still says the same words. But the first pass, the prioritization, the summary, the routing, and the follow-up are no longer fully human. That means the job does not vanish. It becomes thinner in some places and heavier in others. Less typing, more checking. Less chasing, more escalation. Less routine judgment, more accountability when the routine judgment fails. The first AI coworker is not a person. It is a queue of support tickets, a queue of invoices, a queue of leads, a queue of documents, a queue of risk alerts, a queue of recommended next actions, and the human job slowly becomes less about doing every step and more about managing what the system cannot safely finish. That sounds efficient, it can be, but it changes power inside the company. The person who understands the queue gains leverage. The person who only understands the old manual task loses visibility, because the question in meetings changes. It used to be, did you complete the work? Now it becomes, why did the system fail here? Which exceptions matter? What is the acceptance standard? What should be escalated to a human? What can be automated next? That is a different job, and most companies will not train people for it clearly. They will just add the tool and expect the team to adapt. Here is how it shows up on the ground. The support rep opens the ticket and the answer is already drafted. That sounds helpful. Until the customer is angry, the policy is ambiguous, and the draft sounds confident but slightly wrong. The salesperson opens the CRM, and the follow-up email is already suggested. That sounds efficient until every prospect starts receiving the same polished, forgettable message. The analyst opens a dashboard, and the system has already flagged the anomaly. That sounds powerful. Until nobody can explain whether the anomaly is real, seasonal, or caused by bad data, the human is not removed. The human is moved to the point where the system gets uncertain, and that point is where careers will be made or exposed. Here's the danger nobody likes to put in the demo. Bad automation does not just make mistakes. It makes mistakes with confidence. It can send the wrong message to many customers. It can route the wrong ticket to the wrong person. It can summarize a contract and miss the one clause that matters. It can screen out a candidate for a reason nobody can explain. It can make a manager feel informed while hiding the weak assumptions underneath the dashboard. That is why the AI workforce creates a new kind of accountability problem. When a human makes a mistake, people know who to ask. When a workflow makes a mistake, everyone points at the system, the vendor, the model, the prompt, the data, the integration, the person who clicked approve. That is not a chain of command. That is a fog machine. The companies that win will not be the companies that automate the fastest. They will be the companies that know where automation is allowed to be wrong, where it is not allowed to be wrong, and who owns the final call. This is why blind enthusiasm is dangerous. Automation has a personality inside a business. It pushes people towards speed. It makes volume feel normal. It makes managers expect faster turnaround. It makes leadership ask why the team still needs so much time. That pressure can be useful. It can also create bad incentives. People start approving outputs they barely reviewed. They trust summaries instead of reading the source. They treat the dashboard as reality instead of a model of reality. And then when something breaks, everyone acts surprised. The serious companies will build review points before they scale the system. The reckless companies will scale first and investigate later. So who becomes more valuable? Not the person who says AI cannot do my job. That is not a strategy. The valuable employee becomes the person who can translate messy work into a system. They can document the workflow. They can define the input. They can describe a good output. They can spot bad output quickly. They can write acceptance criteria. They can explain edge cases. They can tell the difference between a task that is boring and a task that is risky. That person becomes the quality layer, and the quality layer is where power moves. Because once AI handles more routine work, companies still need humans who can decide whether the work is correct, useful, compliant, and worth shipping. That is not glamorous, but it is durable. The future employee is not just a doer. They are an operator of systems. That is the career pivot. Do not define yourself by the manual step. Define yourself by the outcome the step was supposed to create. If you write reports, your value is not the report. It is knowing what decision the report supports. If you answer customers, your value is not the first sentence. It is knowing what trust sounds like when the customer is frustrated. If you build spreadsheets, your value is not the formula. It is knowing which number is dangerous when it is wrong. AI can help with the artifact. You need to understand the consequence. That is the difference between being automated around and being promoted into the system layer. Managers are going to feel this shift first because they will be asked to get more output with the same headcount. That sounds like a productivity story, but it is also a pressure story. A manager may have 5 humans and 20 automated workflows. Who reviews the failures? Who updates the prompts? Who checks the dashboard? Who tells leadership the automation is producing noise? Who protects the team when the tool creates unrealistic expectations? The best managers will become workflow designers. They will know which work should be automated, which work should stay human, and which work needs a human checkpoint. The worst managers will treat AI like a magic intern and then blame employees when the system creates chaos. That is why workers need to understand this too. If you cannot see the workflow, you cannot defend your role inside it. And there is one more uncomfortable manager problem. AI makes performance look measurable before it is actually understood. A dashboard can count response time. It can count tickets closed. It can count messages sent. It can count tasks completed, but it may not count whether the customer trusted the answer. It may not count whether the team is burning out. It may not count whether the automation is solving the easy work and leaving humans with only the emotional, messy, high-risk work. That changes the job emotionally. If the system handles the clean cases, humans inherit the complicated cases. So when leaders talk about productivity, workers need to ask about workload quality, not just workload quantity. Here is the practical playbook. First, map your work, not your job title, your actual work. List what you receive, what you decide, what you produce, and who depends on it. Second, mark the judgment points. Where can a mistake create real damage? Where does context matter? Where do people ask for your opinion, not just your output? Third, learn to write standards. A good employee says, here is the answer. A stronger employee says, here is what a good answer must include. Fourth, become fluent in exceptions. AI loves the normal case. Careers are protected in the weird cases. And fifth, do not hide from the tools. Use them. Test them. Find their failure modes. The person who understands both the work and the system becomes much harder to replace. Here is a simple exercise. Open a blank page and draw 3 columns. Column 1, tasks I do repeatedly. Column 2, decisions I make that require judgment. Column 3, failures I prevent that nobody notices. That third column is the hidden one. That is where a lot of human value lives. You caught the weird customer request before it became a refund. You noticed the number was off before the report went to leadership. You changed the tone before the email damaged the relationship. You asked one extra question before the project went in the wrong direction. AI workforce planning usually starts with column 1. Your career defense starts with columns 2 and 3. Your boss may not be building an AI workforce with a press release. They may be building it one workflow at a time. The people who notice early get to help design it. The people who notice late get managed by it. That is the real warning. The AI workforce is not coming as one big event. It is arriving as 1,000 product features. Autocomplete becomes draft. Draft becomes recommendation. Recommendation becomes default. Default becomes policy, and policy becomes the way work is measured. That is why you want to pay attention now. Subscribe for more practical AI strategy, and I will see you in the next one.